Hello and welcome to the Audio Apprentice, and hello to all the apprentices out there. Today we're going to take a look at how to create extra guitar tracks from a single guitar track. You can use this method for doubling vocals. You can also use this method for other instruments as well. Violins, harps, any stringed instrument. You could also use it for brass and woodwind. Keyboards are a little bit different. From time to time you might be in the middle of a mix and realise that you need an extra track to thicken up the sound. To record another track will involve stopping the mix, getting in the musician to record another track. This involves extra time and sometimes money. So we want to go from this to this. If you're using a track that has distortion on it, you can still use it. All you need to do is choose another guitar amp simulator. Before I begin showing you how, I'll just go through the setup so you can follow it a little easier. I started with the DI track, and I've doubled that DI track twice. I've added a guitar amp simulator to one and a different guitar amp simulator to another. Then I've duplicated that again. And these tracks here I'll be using to actually tweak. And I've also added auto-tune, and I'll explain why later. You may only need one track rather than the duplicates that I've done. With the auto-tune plugin, you can also use just a standard pitch correction plugin from an audio suite. It won't be as good as an auto-tune plugin, but it will still be effective. Now I can hear some of you saying, oh, that's easy. All you need to do is to run the DI track through a different amp simulator, pan the guitars left and right, and here we have stereo guitar tracks. And that's what we have here in the static tracks up here. At a basic level, yes, this is okay. But when you pan both tracks to the center, so they're in mono, and remember that mono is the same sound in both speakers, when you pan them in the middle, you get a problem happening with chorusing. And I'll just show you how. I'll set it up and hit play. So you would have heard the chorusing effect as the track played through. But that's fine if you want to have a chorus guitar track in mono, but I doubt that's what you're after. And remember that mono is still used in certain circumstances, and you should always check your mix in mono. I'm sure that you want the guitars to sound like they've been played rather than duplicated, and I'm going to show you how to do that with just a few tweaks. So for the next section, the extra set of tracks that I've prepared will be the ones I'll tweak, so we can compare them to the static tracks. If you have two separately recorded tracks, you will notice two things. One, no two individually recorded tracks start exactly at the same time, nor is each note or strum played exactly at the same time. Just by this alone, you get a thickening of the sound. So now I'm going to move the second track by more than 40 milliseconds. Why more than 40 milliseconds? Because the human ear has problems discerning where two sounds come from if they're less than 40 milliseconds apart. This is called the Haas effect, and you can see more information in the Audio Apprentice resource. I'll pan the tracks to the center and move one track 10 milliseconds at a time. You'll hear the sound go from having a chorus at times to becoming a bit of a mess. For a vocal, use 49 milliseconds as a start point and add auto-tune to the double track. I've panned the tracks to the center, and I'll move one 10 milliseconds at a time. You'll hear the sound go from having a chorus at times to becoming a bit of a mess. You heard how moving it backwards or forwards by 10 milliseconds at a time affects the sound. By the 100 millisecond mark, things aren't very clear. I've reset the highlighted tracks to stereo, hard left and hard right, and I've moved one of the tracks to 50 milliseconds. And we'll compare the moved tracks to the static tracks in stereo. So there we heard the difference in the two. The static track seemed a little bit narrower and less thicker. The shifted tracks sounded thicker and a little wider. The second thing that you should be aware of is that even if two guitars or instruments are in perfect tune, the way pressure is applied to the string will cause a slight difference in tuning. It may be only 1 or 2 cents, but that in itself will also thicken the sound. Here I've added auto-tune. Input type is instrument, the key of C, it's just chromatic, and I've started at 440 Hz. I'll reset this so it's in mono. I'll pitch shift this in real time so you can have a listen to the effect. So there you heard the chorusing effect by pitch shifting it. And chorus is just splitting the track in two, adding a pitch change and moving the track a little bit. And you can read a bit more of it in the Audio Apprentice resource. Now I've reset the tracks. We have our static tracks that haven't been moved and there's no auto-tune on it. And we have these two tracks which have been moved and also auto-tune added. And I've set auto-tune to 443. And with the process over, let's do some comparisons. And there we heard the static tracks, which were a little bit narrower, still had a bit of chorus in it, and not as thick as the ones where we had the one track moved 50 milliseconds and had the auto tune there at 443. I hope that you got something out of this video and you can apply it to one of your mixes one day. And that's all for now.